All right, coaches, welcome to another episode of the Cornerstone Coaching Academy podcast. I'm your host, Coach Kyle Nelson. I would like to say welcome aboard to those of you who are new listeners to the podcast and give you a little bit of what you're going to hear today and with each of our podcasts. This is episode number 208. So we've been doing this for quite a while now, a handful of years. In each episode, you're going to get one of a couple different types. One thing you'll see, which is what today's is going to be, is about 10 to 20 minutes on a specific topics, and then you can take directly back to your team, to your program to make them better. Today's topic is going to be all about making you better as a coach, not with really specific things that you can do in practice, but more life type things in general, so that you can certainly be at your best and give your best to your players and your best to your family at home. The other type of podcast you're going to hear is going to be a sample Q&A from our elite membership Q&A. And the third type you might hear is from one of our public web clinics. We'll put snippets of those out there as well for our podcast listeners so that we can enjoy it on that format. Places you can listen to us. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, Player FM. I'm also going to try to start getting them more up on YouTube and Vimeo. I'm recording them now with some video, so you can go there, and a lot of times you'll have a PowerPoint available to you to see on YouTube or Vimeo. You can get the show notes at www.cornerstonecoachingacademy.com/208. That same website is where you can get access to all of our great information on our blog, all of our other podcast episodes as well. I keep some of our web clinics, public web clinics up there for you also. And you can also join us in Cornerstone Elite, which is our premium membership. It's going to get you access to all of our premium drills, practice plans, everything we do to create a player development mindset in the team setting, because I know how difficult that can be when you're working with just a couple coaches and a large team to try to get individualized player development to your team. And that's really what Cornerstone Elite is all about. So you can check that out over at www.cornerstonecoachingacademy.com/cornerstone-elite. One of the things that's been really popular as we get ready for our season is the Recognizing, Diagnosing, and Fixing Common Hitting Flaws e-course. It takes you from assessment all the way from your hitting assessment, shows you exactly how to do that, how to identify your players' weaknesses, and then how to bucket drills for them by their weaknesses, so that you can know that they are working on these specific things that they need to be working on in order to get better and improve. Again, it's about having a player development mindset inside of the team setting in different ways that we can do that. We have a lot more than just hitting in there. We also do it for pitching, all of our infield information, practice plans, etc. In addition to that, we have several Q&As per month. We have forums, and you get access to me via email. So as you're going down this journey of trying to make your team, your players, and yourself the best coach you can, you will have me walking along with you through our Q&As, through our forums, and by email as well. With that being said, let's go ahead and get to our topic for today. This is not going to be an overly long podcast. It's just something that I've been, thinking about over the last couple of years and trying to bring into my life a little bit more during the season. It seems like the older I get, and I'm not that old, I'm not yet 40 years old, but it seems like the older I get, the more the season tends to wear on me a little bit. And obviously some of that goes along with having a family and stuff like that. But I really have thought over the last couple of years about making sure that I'm taking care of myself first. And that's going to be the topic of today's podcast, is that in order to take care of your players, in order to take care of your team, the first thing you have to do is you have to make sure that you are operating at a high level, and to make sure that you are taking care of yourself first. And to me, it all starts with physical health. It all starts with, how do we feel on a daily basis when we wake up in the morning, making sure that we're doing the right things and making sure that physically we are healthy, so we can be there for our players, be there for our students. I know a lot of you who listen to this podcast are also teachers, and then ultimately be there for our family. So some things that I'd like to talk about with physical health and some of the changes I've made over the last couple of years is, number one, really focusing on your diet during the season. It is incredibly easy to do the next easy thing which is usually some kind of fast food. It's usually something that's not very good for you. It's usually something that's just very convenient. And that's not always the best way for us, especially as we go older. Our players, they seem to be able to eat, a super value meal from McDonald's and then go play a game and feel almost no ill effects of it. I mean, I'm sure their performance is definitely decreased, but my point is, like, if I do that, I feel sick for like 2 days afterwards. And so to me, diet, limiting fast food, making sure we're fueling our bodies with good things is where it kind of starts during the season. So a couple of quick things that you can do for yourself, because as we get into season, one of the things we are all very, very crunched on is time, especially those of us that teach full time and then coach after that. And we're trying to do so much with our teams and so much with our students, and more demands keep getting put on us, that time is really something that is they haven't increased the number of hours in a day to 27 because we have more things on our plates as teachers, as coaches. So a couple of really quick tips here that you can do. I love the idea of batching meals on a Sunday. So if you have some time off, usually Sundays for me is time off, and getting meals batched ahead of time for the week. If you live alone, if you're a young coach or an older coach and you don't have a family, live alone, you can probably make 2 or 3 pretty easy meals, like crock pot type things on the weekend. They're going to have meat, they're going to have vegetables, they're going to fill you up, that you can make them on a Sunday, and then you can kind of eat off of them all week. You can eat maybe one of them Tuesday, one of them Monday, another one Tuesday, and then kind of eat leftovers for the rest of the week. And what you've done is you've taken off that temptation of going and stopping at McDonald's or stopping at Taco Bell or stopping at Culver's on your way home, because you know that you have good food sitting and waiting for you at home. I think one of the things that the reasons why people stop by those places is because when they get home, they don't really know what they're going to eat. And it's just a lot easier to stop and get something than it is to cook something if you've been at practice or a game all day. Another tip is to go to the store on that same day and get a bunch of snacks that you can have throughout the day. I think one of the things that I was running into was I would get home at 8:30 at night, and I wouldn't have eaten at all, and I would be so hungry that I would overeat late in the day, and that would make me feel really bad in the morning. Obviously, we also want to limit our intake of certain things that are not good for us, like alcohol, sugar, stuff like that. Everything is okay in moderation. Sometimes during the season, we might use some of those things to deal with stress and that kind of thing. Really want to try to limit that as best we can. Also, that does definitely affect your daily performance. Another thing we want to try to do is make sure that we're getting exercise. That is really hard to do during your season, again, as we are crunched even more and more for time. One of the ways I have found to do it is I just get up earlier in the morning and do it. Now, out of season, I pretty much am able to go in just about every day in the morning before school and work out. During the season, I sometimes will cut that back to about 3 times per week. But the bottom line is I'm making at a point, my iPhone is set up to go off at 4:30 in the morning right now, 4 days a week, a little bit later on Thursday, because sometimes I do go in and sometimes I don't go in and work out on Thursday. And during the year, it's going to be at least 3 times a week that iPhone is going to be set, and that alarm is going to go off. And I know that that is my chance to get up and work out. And then if I don't get it done then, it's probably not getting done throughout the day. You can also look for ways to microdose workouts. So if getting up early is not really an option for you, maybe you have kids you've got to get on the bus or something like that, you can microdose workouts. Depending on what the setup at your school is, sneak into the weight room during your planning period, get a couple of sets of lifting in. We have some treadmills, and during my planning period, sometimes I'll go do work on the treadmill. If I have to watch a video, or if I'm planning something, or if I'm reading something, I'll go on a bike, or I'll go on an elliptical and read it, or I'll go on a treadmill and walk and read it, and just try to get a little bit of exercise throughout your day. So if you can't get up earlier in the morning, I certainly think that you can microdose some exercise throughout your day. If you don't have access to those things, you can always in your classroom during your planning period, do some sets of push-ups, do some sets of air squats, bring a couple of dumbbells into your classroom, leave them under your desk, and you can certainly microdose some workouts that way. But I do think that that's a really great way to do it. Another thing is, how active can you get with your kids during practice? Can you get out there and work with them a little bit, work out with them? If you have them lifting, can you get in there and lift with them also during that time? So diet and exercise are huge during the season. If you let those two things go, what you're going to see is you're going to see your performance as a coach start to slip. And we ask our players to be at peak performance. We want them to eat well. We want them to exercise. We want them to be in shape. And we should do the same thing on our end. It's going to be better for us. It's also going to be better for them. They're going to get more energy from us, and it's going to be a better environment for them also. And quite honestly, leading by example, if you tell them that they need to work out and stay in shape and you don't, that's one thing. But if they actually see you getting in there with them, lifting, maybe doing some running, things like that, it's a really positive influence on them, where they start to see those things not just as things to get them better for baseball, but things for, lifelong success. Sleep is another thing that is huge during the season. And that's not one that I think I have necessarily a great grasp on or a great answer to. I know for me, one of the things that I need to start doing better is limiting my screen time as I get closer to bed. I know that definitely helps me sleep better, but I don't necessarily always do that. So this year I plan on taking Twitter off my phone again. I have taken it on and off. Twitter's something I like to go in and read a lot of things. I look at news, I'm entertained in there, but it does take up a silly amount of my time. And so if I take Twitter off of my phone, I'm not going to sit there late at night and surf Twitter on my phone while I should be reading something or going to bed or something like that. But really trying to make sure that we're having good sleep habits, getting as much sleep as we can. On weekends, planning to get some extra sleep. Like if you can get to bed early on a Saturday, for me, Sunday's our day off. So Saturday, I try to get to bed a little earlier, sleep in just a little bit on Sunday, get a little bit of extra sleep those days. Time management. This is the biggest thing, especially for young coaches. If this is your first year getting into your season and you are a teacher, this really, really sneaks up on you. And one of the things you have to realize is that if you are going to be a teacher and do a good job at it, and a coach and do a good job at it, you are going to have to give up things you like to do for things you need to do. You've got to stay up to date on your grading. You have to make sure that when you have a free moment during your day, that you are using it to get your grading done, that you're using it to get your planning done. The last thing you want is to get home at 9 o'clock at night from a road game, and then you've got a stack of papers staring at you in the face that you have to get done for tomorrow, or oops, I haven't planned my lessons for tomorrow. I think that is the biggest thing that I learned, and I try to get as far ahead going into the season with planning as I can, so that I know that if I don't have 20 seconds to run copies off on a day because I'm so busy, that I've already run those copies off, and I've planned well ahead, so that I can chunk my time, and I'm not constantly like a rat in a wheel trying to catch up with grading and planning and grading and planning and practice and that sort of thing. You can also plan your practices well out in advance, right? I have in Cornerstone Elite, I put all my practice plans in there, and I basically just go in and grab them out of there now. So it's not like I have any huge amount of planning to do for baseball. I go grab the practices that I've already created, and then I tweak them as I need to see fit, or if we have a little bit of a different schedule or a little bit of a different if we have a little bit of different schedule or a little bit of a different facility for that day, I just tweak them how I need to. And so my planning has gone down from an hour to 2 hours per practice, really to just about 5 to 10 minutes, because I can just pull those practice plans out of there. Or if I'm looking to fill drill space, I can go in and I've got all those chaos hitting drills. I just go into there and I say, okay, what do we need to work on today? We need to work on timing, and we need to work on adjustability. And so I pull timing and adjustability drills. And so having it all organized ahead of time for me, I obviously I let you guys into Cornerstone Elite. You can see and use all those things, but for me, it's huge because it's my library that I work out of as I'm creating practice plans or as I'm, grabbing practice plans to use. For those of you that have a family, this is something that that I've really tried to get better at as I've gone through my coaching career, and that is leaving whatever happened that day in your game, in your practice. If parents were mad at you, if you had trouble with your administration, if something didn't go exactly how you planned, trying the best you can to leave that at home. To leave it at work, and don't bring it home with you. That is so much easier said than done. But I heard on a podcast the other day, I wish I could remember which one it was. I listened to a lot of them. But someone put a sign up on their door as they were leaving their office that said, "And now the real work begins." And realizing that teaching and coaching, especially coaching, like, baseball is a game. We all love it, and we want to teach people and teach humans, create better humans through our game. But the bottom line is, it is a game. And so if you lose, or if people are upset, or if something doesn't quite go your way, it's still a game, right? And so the real work that you have to do is at home. So when you get home, make sure that you're giving full attention. And that is so hard. Again, one of the things I like doing, one of the reasons why I'm going to take Twitter off my phone, strip my phone of a lot of things, is because I want to make sure that when I get home, I'm doing my real job, my most important job, and that is, raising a family and being a good husband. And that's an area I've struggled with over the handful of past couple of years, and I hope that I'm doing a better job of it. And I think that I am. Is in a situation that stuck out in my mind. It was my I forget what, we were going out to a nice dinner with my parents and a couple other people, and I kept getting text messages from reporters and things like that, and I realized that I hadn't sent in our game information correctly, or something didn't go through. And in the middle of this nice dinner, I had to excuse myself and go out and make sure that the newspapers got what they needed, and that was really hard for me to do that. And so, that kind of goes back to the time management thing again, and making sure that we have a system in place for how am I going to take care of all those things, so that when I get home, I can be home. Another thing that I've started doing over the last couple of years, and I would have never said this was a good idea maybe 5 or 10 years ago, but that's just giving days off. The chances are, if you're tired and you're dragging, your players are tired and they are dragging too, and you are not getting the best of them. If you are tired and they are tired, there's nothing wrong with giving a day off. It's good for them. It can be good for you as well, to go home, recharge your batteries a little bit, and just, even if it's a nice day out, we get plenty of opportunities on days when it's raining and stuff like that. But, to give an unexpected day off, I don't think it means that you're lazy or falling behind or anything like that. I just think it means that we're trying to manage workload of our players, and understanding that they only have so much energy and so much that they can give. And when you're asking them to give you a lot, and they also have to give to school, and they have to give to family, and they have to give to all these other places, something ends up getting shortchanged. And so I think that giving an unexpected day off, maybe one, maybe two during the course of the season, I think that can greatly benefit your players and greatly benefit you. And I think what you might find is that what you regain in energy makes up for anything you could possibly have lost as far as skill development or player development during that day. I'm not advocating giving like 3 days off a week, but if you gave one off or two off each month, kind of unexpected, maybe one of them on a little bit of a nicer day, so that people can get outside and do something on their own instead of just playing baseball. I think that would certainly be a great plan. With that, that's kind of my plan for going forward this year, with taking care of myself first, and then hopefully I can give a lot to our players, a lot to my students, and give a lot to my family as well. And I won't be, running dry. I won't be exhausted throughout the course of the season. I mean, you're just going to get to those points through your season where you are physically exhausted. But this plan, I think, I've put a lot of it in place for me over the last handful of years, and really has helped, me be a better coach, me be a better teacher, and me be a better father and husband. So I hope you enjoyed that podcast. A little bit different from what we normally do. If you are interested, as I mentioned before, in joining Cornerstone Elite. It's one of those things that can help decrease your stress level, because you've got everything right there that you need to run a player development mindset in a team setting. Like I said, there's pre-made practice plans, hitting rotations, different ways that you can implement player development mindset in a team setting. Plus, you get access to me through Q&As, forums, and email. So if you're interested in that, you can head over to www.cornerstonecoachingacademy.com/cornerstone-elite, and you can check that out. As we get into our season, this will come out on March 2nd. That is the day we start practice. I usually try to keep up as best I can with the podcast. I might miss a week or two here or there. Again, if I get to a Sunday and I decide that I need to spend time with the family instead of recording a podcast, that's just what's gonna happen. So hopefully I'll be with you each week going forward. May miss a few here and there. If I do miss a few, don't worry, I'll be back. The podcast isn't ending or anything like that. So good luck this season. Have a wonderful week. Hope to see you inside of Cornerstone Elite, and never stop learning.